So the next topic that we have in section 3.2 is that we're going to have to learn how to complete an ordered pair. Completing an ordered pair is noticed a little bit different than when they give you a complete ordered pair. So notice here I gave you a table, but don't let that bother you. A table is just a way to list many ordered pairs. Okay, so this is like 0, comma, blank. And this row going across is like blank, comma, 0. And this row is like -2, comma, blank. And then, oops, did too many of them. We'll do that there. And the last one is like blank, comma, 1. Okay? So don't let a table mess you up. Okay, so when you have a table, just think of it as just multiple ordered pairs. Now notice that we were giving you just one piece. In some of the ordered pairs, they gave you the x value. In others, they gave you the y. What we're going to have to do first is figure out what is the missing piece. Now how to find the missing piece? Well, let's talk about it over here. We wrote some steps up. 1, 2, and 3 has to do with completing an ordered table. So what you're going to do is you're going to rewrite the equation. Right? And each of these problems are going to give you an equation. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace the variable that's given in the table with a set of parentheses. Now notice in those tables or in those ordered pairs, they only gave you one letter, either an x or a y. So you're only going to have one set of parentheses, not two. Then what you're going to do is plug in the value that they gave you, maybe for x or for y. And then you're going to solve the equation to find the other variable, because remember, one variable is missing, one value is missing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to repeat these steps, 1, 2, 3, until we get the table completed. All right? So let's practice completing the table with these guys. So notice that there's 1, 2, 3 rows, or you can think of it not 3 rows, 4 rows, or you can think of it as 4 ordered pairs. Okay? So the first one, every time we see x, we're going to put in a set of parentheses because we do know that they gave us x. So when I do number 1, every time I see x, since it's given, put in a set of parentheses. Since y is missing, we don't know what y would be, you have to leave it as y, since we don't have anything defined for it. And then bring down the rest. So what you're going to do is rewrite, that's my first step, okay? Put parentheses for the variable given. Second step, plug in what was given, x is 0, so no more x, it's going to be a 0. And then solve. Remember, we still don't know what y is, so you're going to solve for y. So remember, there's a left-hand side and a right-hand side. So you're going to go over on this side, get rid of the parentheses. Remember, if there's no number in front, you can slip in a 1. So 1 times 0 is 0. Then 0 plus y will always be the other guy, y. And then there's nothing to simplify on this side. And luckily, we don't have to do anything else. A lot of other times, you might have to do the labeling, the moving, and the divorcing step. But here, since y is by itself, I know that any time that x is 0, you're always going to get y as -4. So then we can plug that in. I'll do that in a different color just to show you that this wasn't originally given. We found that it was -4. So you can have it either as an ordered pair or in a table format. Now we only did the one piece. Let's go and see what the second missing piece would look like. Okay. So for the second guy, again, take the equation, But notice they gave us a y. So every time I see the letter y, we're going to put a set of parentheses because I know what to plug in. I was given a value to plug in for y. Notice I left x a letter since there is nothing given for x. So if the given piece gets parentheses, the unknown piece keeps the letter. We're going to plug in that the parentheses is 0 and then solve. Remember, distribute to get rid of the parentheses. So if there's no number in front, you can distribute a 1. 1 times 0 is 0. And then luckily, x plus 0, you can simplify this. 0 plus anything is always the other guy. So we got x by itself. We don't have to do the labeling, moving, and divorcing. So we found out we have a negative 4 here. Oops, I should do it in a different color. So now we have 2 ordered pairs complete. Let's get our third guy. All right. We're going to always use the same equation given. Just know that this third time, they gave us an x. So that means parentheses for x. And then keep the letter y since we don't know what that value is. Plug in x is negative 2. Now when you distribute, 1 times negative 2, it doesn't disappear. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. This and this cannot be combined. They're not like terms. So then we will have to label. This is the only side that has a variable. This must be constant. This is not a variable, so you move it. Since I'm going to this side across from the equal sign, you have to change this additive inverse. They cancel out, so you get y. And then you know a negative and a positive, different signs subtract. Who wins the tug of war? 4 players or 2 players? Team 4 wins, so team negative. So you can see why it was important for us to learn how to solve equations before we got to this graphing stuff. Now I'm going to erase to get us a little space so that we can do our fourth. So for here, we're going to use the same equation, but notice they gave us y, so that has to be parentheses. X, I don't know what to plug in, so keep it as the letter. We're going to plug in that it's a 1. Distribute, so you're going to get a 1. Remember, 1 times 1 is 1. Then variables on one side, constants on the other. And then we'll just move this 1 over. So the opposite would be subtract 1 on both sides. So we get x equals negative, negative, means we have to add. Who wins the tug of war? 4 players or 1 player? We know team 4 wins, so it's going to be team negative. So this is just one part of the ALEKS. ALEKS is going to ask you to, for homework, ask you to complete the table. Now once you get this table completed, notice either in table format or in ordered pair format that you have 4 ordered pairs or 4 points. What they want you to do next is plot all these points on a rectangular coordinate system. So once you complete 1, 2, 3, and then 4 says repeat the steps until the table is complete. Step 5, what you want to do is plot all the points on the same rectangular coordinate system. Okay? So let's draw a rectangular coordinate system. We talked about this before. This is what was all about 3.1. Luckily, when you do this in ALEKS, they'll already have this numbered for you. You don't have to number it. It's so much easier to plot points on ALEKS. And I'll do it in green so that it stands out a little bit. So remember how to plot points? We said always look for the X on the x-axis. If you forgot, this guy is the x-axis. Remember, it is the one that goes horizontal. And then the y-axis is the one that goes up and down, or vertical. So always find this on the x-axis. So 0 would be right here, between -1 and 1. Then the y spot tells you to go up or down. Remember, once you find x, you're just resting your finger. You're not making a mark. You can only make a mark once you find this and you go up and down. So I'm resting, and then -4 tells me go down 4 units from where my finger is resting. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we can mark that. Now on ALEKS, they don't make you label the point, but if you're doing it by hand, we would say label the point. Do 0, -4. So I know what that order pair is. Since my graph is hand drawn, you really want to have these labeled. On ALEKS, since everything is perfectly lined up, once you draw the point, that's all you have to do. Let's go find point number 2. So find x. Remember, each one of these first spots are x's. So find x is -4. So right there. And notice the y is 0. So that means don't go up because it's not a positive number, but don't go down because it's not a negative number. So 0 means I can just mark right there. And then since I'm doing it by hand, there you go. Now how about -2, -2? Remember, find x first. So -2 is here. And then the y value, since that's negative, that means drop down 2 units. 1, 2. And then you can mark. -2, -2. And then the next one is -5, 1. So find x is -5. And then 1, go up 1 unit. Positive. So I'll squeak it in there. And that's -5, 1. So once you plot the points, because that would be the next step in ALEKS, we completed the table, we plot the individual points. Then the third thing that ALEKS wants you to do is this. Connect all the points in one straight line, okay? Make sure that all points line up. Look at your graph. Notice all my points look like they line up. Bum, 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 in a straight line. Especially when you do this in ALEKS, they have to be in a straight line. If this point was all the way up here, you can see we would have a problem. You cannot connect, then come all the way up here to go all the way back down. So if you know that you don't have a straight line when you use all the points, then one or more of your points are off. I can't say that this point that's all the way up here is the wrong one. Probably is, but it might be that you have more than one problem wrong, okay? So double check. If everything looks like they line up, then that's a good sign. What you're gonna do is connect. The reason why you're connecting is because we want to draw the equation. The equation is always going to be drawn as a line for us. There are tons of other equations out there where you can draw them as circles or U-shaped, we call them parabolas, or like a pinwheel, like with curves. like a x cubed, a cubic function. For us, all of ours are going to be a straight line. Now some of them can be downsloping, sometimes the line will be going upwards, upsloping, sometimes it'll be perfectly flat or perfectly up and down, but they're going to be a straight line. One straight line. Okay, so this has three parts to it. Part one is completing the table. Part two is plotting these individual points. And once you're done individual points, you got to connect this in one straight line. Once you connect it as one straight line, then you just graph the equation.